OBS and our Windows Windows crashed, out of memory, hosed everything. I just got an out of memory pop-up from a program I couldn't tell what it was from. Just resetting all my windows here. It'll take a second. And I want to tell Twitter in case people left. And we need to I don't even know what I was doing when everything went all wrong. I'd figured out there was a bug. I don't even know what I was doing when everything went all wrong. I'd figured out there was a bug here, but I don't know what it was. The tops of trees were colored wrong. I have a bunch of notifications in Twitter. I want to check that real quick. And I have a drink I need to get. Actually, let me do that. I'll be right back. Okay. 64-bit. All right. All right. Everything working correctly. People can hear me, etc. Running a 32-bit okay because VC6 doesn't like 64. Running a 32-bit okay because VC6 doesn't like 64-bit. Correct. But I might, at this point, give up if this is happening due to it being 32-bit. The only difference is in 64-bit, I have to, anytime I stop the program while I was running in the debugger, it doesn't, 64-bit Windows doesn't shut down the 32-bit program properly. Only when it's run from PC6. Like if you were running a layer PC, I don't think that's a problem. And it doesn't shut that down, doesn't release the program properly, so you can't link anymore. it still thinks the executable is open. So you just have to exit VC6 and restart VC6 every time you break in the debugger and stop debugging. And I do that at work all the time, and VC6 reloads real fast. It's not reloading fast on my machine, because that's another problem with my machine, is it's getting slow. I need to rebuild it, replace it. It's just suffering from that classic Windows. Everything has gotten slow for no apparent reason. It's not like virus slow, it's just like sluggish. Yes, you have never experienced memory, and you have 8 gigs. I have 8 gigs in this machine, but the OS can only use 4. And when I ran this program, it's using a lot. Firefox is using 500 megs or something insane like that. Let's see what it's using now. Firefox, 400 megs to run Twitch. Oh, and Twitter, because I wanted to check my notifications. Ah, yes, people are answering the Git problem. The Git problem. Okay, so I did that notify. See, STBI image library, there's some function to get a pixel value based on an XY. See, STBI image library, there's some function. So I did that notify. See, STBI image library. See, STBI image library, there's some function to get a pixel value based on an XY point. No, there is not. It gives you all the pixels, and it's up to you to do that addressing. All right, so let's just rebuild this and run it again. And maybe this is just using a ton of memory, because now it's building out to the distance much faster than it used to. We'll turn on the memory profiling. See, STBI image library, there's some function to get a pixel value based on an XY point. No, there is not. It gives you all the pixels, and it's up to you to do that addressing. All right, so let's just rebuild this and run it again. And maybe this is just using a ton of memory, because now it's building out to the distance much faster than it used to. We'll turn on the memory profiling. But it used to be that the gen chunks were sticking around. Now the gen chunks aren't, but you can see the mesh chunks going up much faster than they used to. Let's turn on the other debug. Q chunks. In the cache, you can see the vbuff cache now, which is the OpenGL memory that is just being fought for. So gen chunk is still only taking up 300 megs, 400 megs. So the app is using maybe 450 megs, but now look how big that OpenGL cache is getting. It's getting up to 1.5 gigs. And if that's in user space, there you go. It starts to freak out. Okay, so I think that cache is too big, because it fills up, and then... Okay, so I think that cache is too big, because it fills up, and then I'm using all of memory, I think. Not sure why this didn't used to happen when I had the furthest view set. But now this is why in my newest voxel engine, I'm making the meshes even smaller. These meshes are 20 bytes per quad. Yeah, 20 bytes per quad. And the new one is 8 bytes per quad, so it's less than half the size. So the same amount of data, mesh data, will take up less than half the size. And probably only matters this severely in 32-bit, but even not in 32-bit, using 1.5 gigs on your meshes is a lot. Obviously, some of that should be, sorry about the sirens, some of that should be living on the GPU, but it may be keeping a copy on the CPU anyway. I don't know. You need to use something like Vulkan or D3D12 where you know whether it's resident or not explicitly. So I don't know what determines how far out we keep chunks. So I don't know what determines how far out we keep chunks. I don't remember any of that. I know we keep a cache of a fixed radius, but I don't know what makes us drop things from the cache or how far out we fill. Do we just fill as much as we can? We might. We might just allow this full cache to stick around. 2 to the 12. 2 to the 12 would be... No, that's mesh chunks. Yeah, mesh chunks. Mesh chunks is what we want. 2 to the 12 would be what, 4,000? It wasn't 4,000 Q chunks, right? No, that's mesh chunks. Full as much as we... I don't... Makes us... 2 to the 12 mesh chunks. Yeah, mesh chunks. Mesh chunks is what we want. 2 to the 12 would be what, 4,000? It wasn't 4,000 Q chunks, right? I don't know if a Q chunk is actually a... It went up to 1.5, so at 500, we're about 800. So it'll be about 3 times 800, which is what, 2,400? Excuse me. We just log 2. Alright, what happens if we just bring this in? Alright, what happens if we just bring... Alright, what happens if we just bring this in? It's still so glitchy, even at the lower frame rate. I mean, at the lower... Before we generated that much. It's weirdly glitchy. Something's going on with the frame rate. Yeah, the frame time is just spiking like nuts. I don't know why. Too many threads? Is my renderer thread not getting priority? I don't have a manager thread anymore, and I've got 8 cores, right? For, 4/8. Yeah, so wait, what's using all that performance? OBS? I forgot about that. Nothing. It's a sum of a bunch of stuff. OBS is using one, Civets host is using one, System is using something, a Flash player is using something, plugin container is using something, Firefox is using a little. I don't know. I guess I need to fix whatever that weird feedback loop is in the camera thing. That might be making things worse too, because it makes it spin and then different things are in the frustum, and maybe that's breaking stuff. So where's that camera? Fix whatever that weird feedback loop. I guess I need to fix whatever that weird feedback loop is in the camera thing. That might be making things worse too, because it makes it spin and then different things are in the frustum, and maybe that's breaking stuff. So where's that camera logic? How does that work? I don't remember anymore. It's when you're in flying mode. What is player flying? Nobody else does flying. World? Is voxel rendered? No. World. No. World is movement. Okay, yep, here. Alright, view physics. If flying. We don't even use DT. We just... How much has the camera changed by? Oh no, flying. That's for the normal one, doesn't. For the flying one, we're trying to smooth it. It uses DT. And... Shorten the view. Look at the delta view. Why is it... You have to lock it to the pending view, because the pending view is the absolute position, not the relative. Is that a delta or not? let's just use that. Let's get rid of the smoothing. The smoothing was so I could record a nice trailer way back when. Whoops, I didn't want to leave that last one in. Alright, so now this at least won't blow up when frame is crazy. But the frame rate isn't that crazy. Is it because I'm drawing too much? But it's inconsistently crazy. Alright, let's turn off the attempt to VSync. And see what happens. Alright, let's turn off the attempt to VSync. And see what happens. Alright, so now this at least won't blow up when frame is crazy. But the frame rate isn't that crazy. Is it because I'm drawing too much? But it's inconsistently crazy. Alright, let's turn off the attempt to VSync. And see what happens. Let's see what happens. Yep, now the frame time isn't spiking crazy. I mean, it's spiking. Well, maybe it's going to get worse as we draw more. Yeah, it's still spiking random. Alright. Let's reduce the number of threads. Let's reduce the number of threads. Just to see if now we get enough CPU for this. Maybe this is an OBS interaction that is going to be unavoidable. That's kind of sucky. It's still spiking periodically. Is that flicker from my debug thing, or is that... Oh, look at that spiking. What the heck is going on? Those are cute chunks. Of course, this is all still on GTX 660. How old is that? Alright, we're up to a gig of cache. Is it still going to go all the way to 1.5? We've stopped doing anything in our frustum. Does it prioritize the frustum or something? I thought it didn't. I think it's building stuff that's... Oh, nope, the cache stabilized. Okay. So the cache did get smaller if I stop the range, so it doesn't build stuff out of range. Might keep it cached, though, as I move. So if I move really far, does it get much bigger? Yeah, it does. So we need to actually eject stuff from the cache when it's at the view distance limit, otherwise the cache is going to get too big. Or we need real code to actually minimize the size of the cache, which is probably on a to-do list somewhere. But I don't know what was happening with the spikiness. That's just insane. Yeah, it doesn't go down. Maybe the OS is having to, or the driver is having to swap the meshes in and out of memory or something. That causes it to be spiky. I don't know how much memory this card has. GTX 660 Ti. Probably 2 gigabytes. Does that even guarantee or can they have configured it with different amounts of memory? I don't want performance. I want tech specs. Where's... $2 gigs. So yeah, I don't know why that's spiking. That makes performance testing kind of impossible. But we did optimize a bunch, at least. So I think maybe I'm going to stop there. Since it's... Why do I allow it to tilt that far? I thought I clamped that. Didn't I clamp that? Why is that clamp not happening? Oh, it's not happening on this one. Clamp that. Why do I allow it to tilt that far? Why do I allow it to tilt that far? I thought I clamped that. Didn't I clamp that? Why is that clamp not happening? Oh, it's not happening on this one. Okay. Yeah, it's just freaking spiky. I don't know. Let's turn that back on. It's bad that you can see the pop-in. I don't know why the distance isn't tuned correctly to avoid that. I mean, there'd be some speed that you could go that's too fast that would cause pop-in, but it doesn't seem like this is doing very much work right now. If you look at the MS, they're never that highly loaded. So it just needs to tune the distance that it builds versus the fog distance. Oh, I don't know. Don't know what's going on there. See if the VSync works. Kind of. Well, anyway, there, it's optimized, whatever. Well, anyway, there, it's optimized, whatever. I don't know what's going on. It's terrible. It's kind of okay. It looks like it might be spiking a little, but if you put the view distance back out, that causes the performance to grow. With or without the VSync on, it was bad. It's only good with the performance way below the 60 hertz, or the performance much higher than 60 hertz, and the VSync on is hiding whatever the problem is. Let's try that Linux thing again. Linux thing. Let's try that Linux thing again. I don't see an update. Oh, there is one. It's just GitHub didn't bother showing a date on it. Since it's committed 2 hours ago, it's clearly a new commit. Hey, look, it didn't throw that error at the beginning. Who knows? Oh, I'm not in the source. Ah. Yes, welcome to the limitations of using VC6. So let's see what he changed in that. Is there a way I can just view all the diffs? Yes, okay. Why do we have all this added and nothing else changed below it? What is this code doing? Okay. What is that even for, though? It's never called anywhere in the file. Oh, it's in that. I see. Huh. Wonder what the hell that is. How could that possibly ever work? So one thing is, this file is a file I cleaned up myself a shit ton. And so maybe that isn't even needed. Like, it's presumably that's, what are you defining it to? Nothing. Like, why does that even compile on BC6? So what about this part? What is this doing? So yeah, the CRN header was built by combining a bunch of different headers or something, it looks like. And so I had to go through and make it compile in VC6. And I may have missed stuff that I need to fix. I assume this is something that's like tells the compiler that it's doesn't have a constructor or something, probably, so that it knows it's, yeah, because it has constructors, but it tells it, you know, whatever movable semantics are in modern C++. I would bet you can just get by with that and it just doesn't know it's movable. But that fixes that. But what is this for? Scale type is never defined anywhere. So again, how did this ever compile though for me? It's very type is never defined anywhere. Scale type is never defined anywhere. So again, how did this ever compile though for me? It's very weird. Commented it out. Oh, and I didn't comment out this one. Okay, well let's make sure that this compiles with it disabled. With it disabled. Let's make sure that... Okay, well let's make sure that this compiles with it disabled. Maybe there was some weird... Yeah, how does that ever compile? There's no way that's like a built-in VC6 thing, is it? Or Windows thing. I don't see anything. What is going on? How does that code compile? What, is this just a way to invoke the constructor? What is that? So the point is, I just went through and got this all compiling in VC6, and obviously these things compiled even though they shouldn't have. So it's got that. What the fuck? So rather than, yeah, I could just do what you said. It's just like, what? Using scalar type equals to, like, can I just replace that with construct? Or is it, oh, it doesn't know that it's of type T is the problem. No, but it passes obj. Oh, I see. It's trying to access, there must be some way to express this. It wants to use T as the type for the construct. Would that just be T colon construct normally? Or is that not semantic? I don't know C++ well enough to even know, but in theory these could be. I have no idea why VC was compiling those. Well, it compiles it like that too. Are these never even being called? Maybe these functions are never used, so it never bothers figuring it out. Because I'm not running the compressor here, I only run the decompressor. Oh, this is only the decompressor. Like, is erase ever even called anywhere? Look, erase is never called anywhere. I mean, it's called in erase. This is the thing I was saying, like, he didn't really crush this down to only the code that it was using. So maybe all of those scalars were in things that were never being used, and that's why the compiler didn't care. Let me check this theory. Where was the other one? Because you can see this one I did fix. That one was actually being used. So that must be the case. It must just be never being used. All right, thank you for being around to answer those questions. All right, thank you for being around to. All right, thank you for being around to answer those questions. That looks legit to me, so I'll check this in, and you'll have to check that it does still work. I don't have any more commented out. Oh, did I comment them out, or did I, I thought I if them, erase, did I delete it? I did delete it, okay. One more rebuild to make sure. And then run to be sure. Everything looks reasonable. The textures are correct, since that's the main thing that we just changed. Yep, the textures all look correct. Alright. Yeah, sorry to make you fight through that dumb crap. All right. Check out master working. Recompile just to be sure. All right. Check out master working. Recompile just to be sure. All right, there we go. Your pull request should finally, now that I can, all right, there we go. Your pull request should finally, now that I can push it here, should finally be cleared. Thank God. All right, so that's it for today. About 8 hours, maybe a little less. Oh, I got my to-dos done. And I think that's it. So I'll stick around the chat for just a little bit in case anybody has any more questions. But that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.